for the Justice Department to investigate whether any laws were actually broken by the Obama administration. This after the White House admitted it dispatched former President Clinton to offer Congressman Joe Sestak a job on behalf of the administration if he would drop out of the Pennsylvania Democratic primary. The controversy continues today. Even Democrats, including Pennsylvania Governor Ed Rendell, say the White House should have given an explanation on this one sooner.
Stonewalling it for months, yes, not smart. This explanation is perfectly reasonable. They should have put it out there at the beginning. This whole point about Secretary of the Navy, President Obama appointed Ray Mabus Secretary of the Navy well before our inspectors switched parties.
Republican Congressman Darrell Issa of California on the phone with me now. He's also the ranking Republican on the House Oversight Committee and Government Reform Committee. Thank you so much, Congressman Issa, for joining me.
Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for continuing to cover what we're believing is not a plausible story.
Now, you want the FBI or the Justice Department to investigate based on what you've heard. What would be criminal here?
Well, under 18 U.S.C. 600, directly or indirectly, a federal employee offering a position in an administration in order to get somebody out of a race or to affect the race, is the way it's said, is a crime. It's that simple, and it was last updated and signed by President Clinton himself.
I want to play what Congressman Joe Sestak has to say about this. Here's what he recently said, just on Friday.
Mr. President, I would never, I would only get out of this or not get into it at the time, because I wasn't in the primary at the time, if I felt it was the right thing to do for Pennsylvania work families and not for an office. If I ever thought anything had been wrong about this, I would have reported it.
The audio, really, you can't hear it very well, but basically he says, Congressman Issa, there was nothing wrong here, at least in his opinion.
Well, absolutely. Ed Rendell said everyone does it, therefore it's not illegal. And that's just not the case. Presidents, starting with President Nixon and ending with President Clinton, have updated this law in the words that specifically President Clinton himself will fall under as somebody who assisted in circumventing Rahm Emanuel and the President Obama actually putting their fingerprints on this job offer. The important thing, though, isn't what I think. It isn't even what 18 U.S.C. 600 says. It's really the question of, should the FBI investigate a allegation of a crime and the circumstances that could be criminal being admitted by the White House themselves and then dismissed as everyone does it, it's not, therefore it's not illegal. Well, that doesn't pass the sniff test. You might remember that under President Clinton, the travel office employees were all dismissed. The White House said it was their prerogative and there was nothing wrong. After the FBI investigated it, those people were compensated for the wrongful firing that occurred in the early part of the administration. Administrations, presidential administrations, do not do a good job of investigating themselves.
I got to bring this up, though, Congressman. I hate to interrupt you, but listen, our first read team, the top political team here at NBC, they interviewed several legal experts, and in fact, one was quoted as saying, as a general matter, this kind of situation is viewed as politics as usual. The professor is Daniel Lowenstein of UCLA from your state, and it said it's just not the kind of thing that is usually dealt with in a criminal prosecution. Again, this is a top professor, law professor from your state, who says that this kind of thing may be seen by some as a political game playing with Democrats and Republicans, because we don't normally see criminal prosecution on this.
Well, the question is, why did President Clinton himself update this law? Why is the law on the books? And are we going to take an administration who said they were going to hold themselves to a higher ethical standard and now hold them to no ethical standard? At a minimum, this was unethical. It was clearly wrong. It is an abuse of the American people's tax dollars to have a board. This allegation is a paid board. But more importantly, the administration appears to be lying, I repeat. They've said that they offered him this position in order to keep him in the Congress. This position requires that he leave Congress in order to accept it. So either President Clinton doesn't remember that he, under an executive order, created this position but made it eligible only to non-federal employees, or somebody invented this as the position that he was offered rather than what the truth is.
Right.
And all we're asking is for independent investigation. We really don't care whether it's a special prosecutor or it's somebody from the FBI. We just want the facts put out there. Right now, nobody's under oath. Nobody's forced to tell the truth. And the truth is this position could not have been offered to Congressman Sestak and have him still be a congressman.
All right, Congressman Darrell of California, we greatly appreciate you coming on. Thank you, sir. We'll be talking more about it, certainly. We've got some live pictures from the White House where President Obama is wrapping up a meeting